Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this session of iExcel Core. Today, we're going to see about projects and tasks and how iExcel Core can assist you in terms of managing your projects and your tasks comprehensively. My name is Fidel, and I'll be taking you through iExcel Core, specifically on the projects and tasks. In today's session, we're going to learn how to create and manage projects in iExcel Core, how to assign and track tasks, how to improve teamwork, how to improve collaboration and reporting and automation. Remember, you are able to log in to iExcel Core and have a 30-day trial period. Briefly, before we proceed with the demo, we would like to see iExcel Consultant is a solution firm. We do offer consultancy, bookkeeping, and strategically supporting services to help business grow and stay compliant. One of our flagship products today, which is present to you, is the all-in-one business management platform, that is the iExcel Core. You have your CRM, HR, accounting, inventory, marketing, and more of these tools integrated into one purpose, a login. So you have one login and you're able to log into all these modules. iExcel Core is built to adapt for growth in terms of you grow, versatility. As you grow, as your business grow, you're able to add more tools, building more collaboration, having more staff come through, and therefore one platform that grows with you consistently as you grow the business. One of the major challenges we find for business is key in terms of how do they operate with their systems. So many small and medium-sized institutions or organizations have operational challenges managing multiple systems. This, of course, leads to rising costs and the lack of real-time business intelligence often hindering their growth, limiting competitiveness. And without this one unified solution, they end up focusing on so many things and not able to focus on the core, the business. So therefore, it leads to limited access to real-time insights, and they also end up incurring high operational costs. The solution we provide is iExcel Core. iExcel Core being developed by iExcel consultants, having a team of consultants, both in the finance space, in the accounting space, and in the audit space, develop a tool that will ensure it's a one platform that unifies all modules that a business requires, that it gives real-time insights to institutions, to the business owners, the costs of managing the tool, cost efficiency, and then providing scalable and customizable tools. In a nutshell, iExcel Core has various modules, and each of these modules help a business achieve and sustain their growth and as and when they grow. That means an organization is able to start with one module, whether it's accounting and bookkeeping, and grow into human resource, grow into customer relationship management, grow into enterprise, grow into project management, depending on the growth of the institution and the organization. With over 200 plus integrated modules that talk about integration, communication, accounting and bookkeeping, reporting, you're able to have tools that any business requires. So we have enterprise resource, we have customer relation management, accounting and bookkeeping, which is the core basis of iExcel Core. We have human resource management, where we have human resource records from recruitment module to human resource records to payroll. We have project management, managing your projects, managing tasks within the project, and then inventory management also forms the core tool of iExcel Core. iExcel Core has one great tool, and that is marketing and automation. Marketing assists us in how we generate leads, from generation of leads to keeping your clients in touch, sharing news to your clients, either through WhatsApp, through email, or through SMSs. So it is one offers a lead generation, from lead generation, conversion of the lead to a customer, and all the way to maintaining the customer using iExcel Core as the CRM. So the tools are conversant, the tools are embedded within iExcel Core to provide a business a 360 view and utilization of system with only one login. The question is, why choose iExcel Core? One, iExcel Core is an all-in-one solution. Your accounting, ERP, CRM, HR, and inventory, purchase module, all in one platform. One login into all the solutions. Because of one login and because of all solutions having consolidated and integrated, it becomes affordable in terms of operational costs. Therefore, you're only paying for one tool and able to have a 360 view of the business. Of course, there is efficient decision making because there's real-time data sharing from reporting, from sales, from purchases, and all this cascading down to the accounting module where we have all the reporting from a real-time basis. Lead generation is on a real-time, and therefore it becomes easy to make decision. We are secured and fully cloud-based, therefore you can log in from anywhere, manage your business from anywhere, bill from anywhere, invoice from anywhere, and with that, because of its online versatility and because of the tool within the organization, there is improved team collaboration. The improvement of the team collaboration means the team can engage using the tools from a communication perspective and for sharing different data and different information as staff. One of the key and major strengths also of iExcel Core, it has a built-in invoice integration payment mechanism. So you're able to use Paystack, PayPal, M-Pesa, Flutterwave, and other payment modules to allow customers have a convenient way of paying for our invoices. That means our invoice tool can be paid via Paystack, can be paid via bank, and we can integrate these tools for payment to ensure you receive your payment on time. That makes it versatile. The SME can be paid on time, the bills can be paid on time, and that is achieved. For us, iExcel Core, we ensure that we're giving the fastest onboarding because of ease of implementation and our experience in implemented ERP system. We are able to implement easily and establishing this as an organization. iExcel Core has data migration tools assisting us to move data within the shortest time possible and bring you to live system within the shortest time possible. The system is user-friendly, has a user-friendly interface, allowing for ease of use both from a mobile phone. You can be able to work on your mobile phone, raise your invoices from a mobile phone, look and view all your reports from a mobile phone. And at the same time, you can use it on a computer. There is comprehensive training, comprehensive videos out to assist in managing and how to implement iExcel Core. All in all, iExcel Core is one platform that has endless possibilities from an accounting and payroll perspective, from a CRM, that's a customer relation management and sales, from projects and tasks, marketing and automation, contract and document management. All these one login, and you are able to manage all aspects of your customer from one point. Our core and our major detail for today, where we're going to dwell deeply, is on projects. And we're going to go to the demo in iExcel Core and see why project management matters. One of the things that we see in terms of project management is, one, missed deadlines. We are not able to keep our deadlines. We're not able to see how our deadlines are progressively going on through the projects. There is lack of clarity on who's supposed to do what, or allocation of duties lacks clarity. And because there's lack of clarity in allocation of duties, you also have and find that duties are not being performed. Of course, there's an element of collaboration, lack of collaboration, because we do not have a project management tool where all collaboration or staff can be able to collaborate from one platform. That indeed shows that about 70% of projects fail due to poor communication or planning. For all the projects that we endeavor to do as an organization, as an institution, most of them fail because of lack of proper planning. Because of using various tools, some manage WhatsApp, some manage things on Excel, some manage things on some accounting system. Because of that, we lack visibility, and because of this, the team is not able to know where we are at each and every specific moment. How do we sort it? Our Excel core looks at everything with an all-in-one view of the people, of the tasks, and of the timelines. That means we're able to get organized and look at the project management. To log into iExcel Core, allow me to log into iExcel Core module so that we proceed with our demo for today. Once you log into iExcel Core dashboard, we are landing on the dashboard of the iExcel Core, where we have a brief on all the various modules in terms of the various core modules, from invoices, from the estimate proposals, what has been done. Each module would have a dashboard widget where we can, in a nut or in a summary, be able to see what is core within iExcel Core. Projects will fall under projects where we have projects on the menu. That's on our left. We have the menu projects. Projects, we will shortly be able to create a project within iExcel Core. And from how we create a project, create and demonstrate how we are able to keep tasks, how we're able to keep billing from one platform, one login, and we are able to develop that. Once you're in project mode, we are able to create a new project. iExcel Core works with clients and leads. Therefore, for us to be able to work with a client, for us to be able to work on a project, the client must be existing or it must be a lead. The project name, we can talk about a development of a core system as the project. We will look at a customer who's already existing. So that means, that's why I said the customer must be existing, and or it must be a lead that we're performing a project. Billings type can either be a fixed rate. Fixed rate is where we've agreed with the client that the total amount we're going to charge for the particular project is a certain amount, and that does not change. So the entire project is charged on a fixed rate. However, we can also have projected hours. That means we bill per hours. Remember, once we put our employees into iExcel Core, each employee has their rate of payment per hour. So the system is able to compute the hours that are done by each of the staff, and therefore we are able to bill per hour. We can also bill tasks. So every time we perform a task, the task is complete, the system can allow us to invoice. But once we say the billing type is fixed rate, that means we've agreed the total rate with the client and say for this entire project, the client is to pay 2 million. We can estimate the hours, but since we are not using hours, the estimation of the hours is to know how much or what total time we've spent on the project. the project will take 200 hours. And then we can have a deadline for the project. The start date can change. We can put a different start date, but we can also that. Members of the project are people who are assigned for the project, so we can have more than 2 people assigned to the project who are members of that particular project, and they will be part and parcel of that particular project. Tags, we can create any tags of the project. We can say core system, any tag that we can to create in the system, the project, or any name that we use for that project. Then therefore we can put a description for system. Once we create the project, and then we can again send project created emails. Once the project has been created, IXL Core has the capability of sending a client the portal. So we have the face of the client, where the client is able to interact with the system from a client portal and become part of this project. We can give the client access, or alternatively, the client can also not see the project. We will see how the client views the project. And once we've seen that, the project setting, at this point, we allow the customer to view the tasks. We can say no. We can allow all this, or we can disallow what the customer can see from purposes of this particular project. If we are sharing a project and we want the customer to see all these details, therefore we are able to check and put this accordingly. However, if we do not want the client to see, we can uncheck for the client not to see the projects. But IXL Core gives us the capability to allow the client to log into the system. Once I save, our project has been created with tags on the project, tags that we've set up in the system for this particular project. We're able to use it, we're able to search within the task. This is the overview of the project, and this is where you land every time you are into a project. First, you get to see the overview of the project. That means what the project is all about, the billing, the customer of the project, to be able to see the total amount for this particular project, the billing type, every estimated number of hours we're going to do, the tags of that particular project which you've set. On this, we're going to see all the tasks that are open, how many days are left for us to complete this particular project, total expenses for this particular project, whether they are billable expenses or expenses to be billed or unbilled expense. And that forms the basis of us creating this particular project or this particular window to see the entire overview of this project. This project, development of core system under Mali Pty Limited, as we've seen here, will be seen by the client because we allow the client to have a view of the various tasks that we perform. So how do we deal with IXL Core? In IXL Core, projects are first come from milestone. Once we have the milestone, we're able to create tasks, because tasks feed in from the milestone, and then tasks, timesheets, or time that is driven from the tasks. So once we have a milestone, from the milestone, we are able to generate the tasks within that milestone. From the tasks, we create the timesheet comes along. So to look at it from an overview, we will come to the milestone window. Once we're at the milestone window, we can create the milestone of this particular project. So I will create 3 or 4 milestones for purposes of this demonstration on our IXL Core. The project module can help and define your business. From here, so we will start with new one milestone. Let's call this milestone contract signing. This is to allow for the contract to sign, for the project to start, and probably we can give it a due date of this and ensure contract is signed for us to begin with the project. We can't show this description to the client, or we can hide it from the customer, depending on what we have to do. So that would be ideally our first milestone for this particular project. Depending on different organization, a different milestone can be set accordingly. Another milestone could be information gathering. In the process of us setting up a core system, we can go to the institution to get information of their current position, their current situation, and probably this would start after the deadline where the contract has been signed, and it goes for maybe another 5 days, where we call this fact-finding mission. And we save, so that we have another milestone set up for us. So we have the contract signing, we have the information, and all these milestones can come up in a Kanban view. So in terms of development of a core system, once we gather the information, we can have, say, the first meeting to discuss the views or from what we find out in our fact finding. Probably we can say the start of that date is 18. And since you're meeting various teams, we can say the completion date of that project is 19. And then we call these barazas for meeting staff. So on and on, depending on key milestone. Remember, Excelcore would allow us to bill per milestone. Had we said our project is milestone based, we will bill per milestone, or we can consequently bill the entire project or from a deposit point of view. I would finally add one milestone and say from this milestone is start of the project, or say purchase of servers, which we are going to use for the project. And this purchase will be done probably on the 21st. We expect that to be completed by 22nd, and then save. This creates the milestone for this particular project. Now, as you can see, it says there are no tasks found. So once we have a clear milestone, once we look at the overview of the project, we already have an overview of the milestone that need to be achieved. So if it is a project that we're going to charge on milestone basis, we already know when we're going to charge. Now, milestone then give us the next point where we now have going to do tasks. Tasks are the little details that we have to do and allow different staff to have in order for them to achieve certain milestone. Excelcore allows us to create tasks, allocate those tasks to different staff who are within or part of the project. So once people, or remember when we looked at Excelcore setting up the project, we picked in the members. So once we pick in the members, these members are part of the project and we can allocate them tasks. In allocating tasks, is just simple. We create a new tasks and then say task 1 is getting to sign the contract. And we have the milestone which we already created as contract signing. We expect this to be done and to be completed by this date. What is the priority? Because we can't start on this project, we can prioritize it as urgent. Excelcore again allows us to put in tasks that are repetitive in nature. So this task, does it repeat after another 1 month or 1 week, or it is not repetitive in nature? So this project, this signing is only done once. Therefore, we do not need to put a repetitive nature on it. This is related to a project which we've already picked. But remember, a task can be related to an invoice, can be related to a lead, can be related to a task that we're doing that. And the project is development of core system within Excelcore. So the persons that are assigned to these two can be 2 or can be 1 whose role is to ensure that we get a signee, we get this contract signed. We can have followers of the project. Followers are people within the team that do not necessarily assign the task, but have to be informed once the task is complete. So once this is done, we can have, when we say this is public, it means everybody with access to Excelcore in your team will be able to view this task. But if we leave it this, it means only people that have been assigned and following can be able to know what the task is going. We can also say this task is billable or not billable. If it is billable, we tick here. And then is this task visible to customer or not? Therefore, we have to show that. Once that is set up, we can save that task as accordingly. I will come to this in a short while. So once we've done that, then the task is set. We can have a new task again, create a new task, and probably this task can be tied to information gathering. You can say meeting the team or meeting the CEO of this company to understand the information, to understand the data. And this can say start from the 14th after the contract has been signed, can go all the way to 17th. And the priority of this is high. Again, this is a once-off, so it won't be repeat. So we will not put it as a repeating activity. It is only once. It's assigned to this Fidel, and the rest can be followers. We can put notes on this, and we can attach files here that we want to attach. Either it's a questionnaire that we want to share with the CEO, or whatever tool that we are using to collect this information can be done there. Once we do that, we save that. Now, one milestone can have various tasks within that milestone, but for purposes of this demonstration, I just want to show us a single milestone on a single task on every of the milestones that we've created. Then I can be able to create another task. In creating this another task, we can have the first meeting. This is having the first meeting. So meeting with staff, what we call the staff baraza, to understand the needs, to understand the requirements, and then this will start on the 18th all the way to say 21st. It is again, say medium priority. We have those, and then we have those that are following or informed once this aspect happens. So we can save that again. So when we come to look back at the milestone, we find now once you will see the milestone, and under the milestone now you can see we have the various tasks and the various tasks and the status of those various tasks. Because this is today's date on 12th, the project is already in progress. Since this is on the 14th, the status of this is not started, and they remain like that until the project or the process starts. So that's how Excel core one, we creating the milestone. From the milestone, we creating the tasks, and from the task, we now move on to why we have the timesheet here. Timesheet allows us to record from the task what we've done from that particular task, what we've done. So we can from here create a new timesheet and say what we've done, picking the time. This was the task. We were to sign the contract. Member was to sign the contract here. The start time was, let's say we started in the morning at say 10, and it took quite a bit of time. We just finished with the CEO to have the contract signed around 4. So that is time duration when the contract was signed. I'm able to create this timesheet from here, and I'm saying save to show that we've successfully delivered on that project, or the project is in progress. Now, when you go back to the task, this is the timesheet that we've created. And when you look at this, signing the contract, a timesheet has already been created here. So we just created a timesheet already here of what we did on that particular project. We can go ahead and create another timesheet, or the system allows us to do a start timer. We can start the timer to correct an accurate time that it took us to do that particular task. So by clicking a start timer, the system starts counting as we are working on that particular project, or it's a particular task. So for people who bill hourly, this is a great tool to ensure you're billing exactly for the time spent on that particular project, whether it's drafting a proposal, whether it's drafting a strategy from the time you start the project to the time you stop the timer. So the system says we stop on that and say, okay, we've saved, we are okay. And therefore, again, another timer is set. So when you look at the time, we find this is what we've just created now, which was actual, but initially we also created another time for that particular task. And once this is okay and you're comfortable with this, we can attach the file probably the contract that was signed, we need to attach it. We can drag in a file and drop it there and say the contract has been signed. So we can attach and open and say, now that was signed. Once it was signed, we attach the contract, meaning somebody can come and review and see truly the contract was signed. And once that is done, we can clearly tick on that to say that particular task has been completed successfully. You can see the status now has changed to complete. I can close that. You can see the task here is complete. When you go to the overview again, where we have the overview of the entire project, you can see we have 3 open tasks. So we have 2 that are still open, and we finished one, which is 33.3% of the project completed. So that overview gives us in a nutshell where we are every time we're looking at the project. So we've gone and seen how to create a milestone. From milestone, we've gone ahead and created a task. And from the task, we've created a timesheet. I will go through these other tabs that we have here for project management. And in a nutshell, so we've seen how to create milestones. Milestones will drive task. The reason we had a task here, which is already not there, if you want to show it, I just check there to ensure that we include even tasks that are completed. So when a task is complete, it shows there. Remember, this is a Kanban view. We're able to move tasks along and move them to different state or change the status of that to different points in time. So I can change the tasks, where they fall in, or more so I can move back to where we are. The system allows us to change the tasks to the various milestones that we see. Here we talk about files. We've seen files that we are sharing for this particular project. We are able to drop all the files here. Any file that we want to bring about for the project, we're able to say open, and we're able to have all the files. We can make these files visible to the client, or we make it visible to the team. We can be able to email these files to anybody who is part of this project, or we want to share in this project and share that particular file from here. So these are files that we're working on this project. Once you upload, you can be able to share from there. From a discussion module, and when we're talking about our Excel core as a tool for collaboration, we're able to create discussions within the team and also with the clients. So the clients look at the project and are able to discuss with us and create a discussion. That means create a subject or create something to talk about within that. Say we talk about the bugs within the system. Any bugs observed can be communicated. So this is visible to the client. The client can see all these discussions we're going to have on the bugs as they're testing. They're going to create or tell us what is happening, if there anything or discussions on that. As we proceed, definitely we see clearly that we have a discussion module where we can discuss, and then the Gantt chart is populated as long as we're putting in the tasks, as long as we're putting in the deadline and the start period, then a Gantt chart is fully done. The tickets allow the client to raise tickets whenever they are in need, or whenever there is a challenge they're having, they're able to raise a ticket and we're able to respond to that particular ticket on. Then at this point, we have contracts. Contracts are any of the tools. Contracts are any of the tools, or it is tied to this particular project. So anything that is tied to this particular project, we will have here. We will have sales, we'll have proposals. Any proposals that are in line with this project will be here. Any estimates or invoices that we issue will be here, and we're able to do that. For purchase requests, so this particular project would require us to purchase servers, would require us to purchase things. So this purchase request will be done from here. However, they're integrated with the purchase module. That means they are purchases that are specific for this particular project. However, we are able to classify and we're able to know all the tools or anything that is appertaining to this development of the project. Here we can put notes for anybody to see within the organization. Quickly and briefly, I would want to show us how the client will view this particular project. From here, I can view this as the customer. So this is what the customer is now seeing from his end. He's seeing the task, he's seeing the summary of the overview. He's actually seeing the progress of that particular project. So we shared with the client, and the client is able to see all this. Client is able to see the tasks that are within this project. We created the tasks and shared with the client. We can give client access, and we can also deny the client access to this to be able to see. So iExcel Core gives us the capability of sharing with the client for the client to have access to all these in line. We talked about files and the upload of files. As long as we give the client access, the client is able to have access for all these files that are there. So once we go back again to the project, and we're going to toggle between the two, how the clients view it and how we are seeing it. From purposes of moving with this discussion, once we are on overview, we've seen everything that we need to do in terms of that. So there is expenses that will be incurred on this particular project. So we can bill the client expenses that are signed from what we said we are going to bill as the invoice. So from here, we can come and raise expenses and say we would want to raise expenses and record expenses that are tied to this particular project. So probably we can say we have travel as an expense. An expense category could be fuel or accommodation. An amount can be 2,000. These are amounts that we are able to claim or claim back from the client or bill the client. So that's why the system is asking, the customer is Mali Pty. Is this billable or not billable? If we say not billable, the client cannot be billed. The system will not remind us to bill. But if it's billable, then we check and leave it like that. That means we've attached the receipt. Now, when it comes to client side, the client is able to, when we refresh this, the client too is able to be part of this conversation on what to see when it's part of the conversation in order to view what expenses they have incurred. They're able to see any expense from this particular project and any estimates that we've raised. I know we've not allowed the customer to view the expenses, but the customer has the right and the capability of viewing the expenses from their side. So you can see from here, there is billable expenses. He's aware the total expenses so far is 25,000. So there won't be any surprises in terms of this particular project when we bill them for expenses. When we go back again, that is billable. There is unbillable. We can create again a different expense for purposes of creating expenses within our module, but these expenses probably would not fall under any, the client would not be billed for that. So I can talk of accommodation. Accommodation, say we spend 20,000 on accommodation on that date and we're able to have tax, but this is not billable. We can put that and we can save, we can attach the receipts, we can create the date, and we'll have those expenses. So in a summary, we'll get to know all the total billable expenses, non-billable expenses, what has been invoiced, or what has not been invoiced or billed accordingly. So from an overview perspective, we are able to see that overview. Again, from here, we're able to see so far what has been incurred in expenses. No surprises to anyone, no surprises to us as a team, no surprises to the client. What has been billed so far and what has not been billed. Now, because of the integration module, so the expenses are captured, they are also captured in our accounting module. So they're also captured accordingly in our balance sheet, in our P&L. So everything is captured because we are fully integrated from that perspective. When we want to do a contract, if there's a contract for this project, we can have all the contracts here, or we can create. iExcel Core allows us to create contracts, allows us to create estimates, allows us to create proposal. You can see on my left, there's a menu where we have contracts, and we can quickly generate a new contract for that particular client. The client is Mali, and once we create that, we get the project. The project was the core system was development of a core system or development of core system, and then is core system could be the subject. The contract value was the 2 million that we said we're going to charge the client. What kind of contract? This we can create, and it said is a one-time contract, is a recurring contract, is a contract for provisional services, a contract for development of system. That can be done, and then of course the end date of that particular contract. This again can be managed by Excel core. So Excel core will be giving us a reminder when the contract is due, when the contract, if the contract needs to be renewed, and so forth and so on. I can't tick here to hide it from the customer, but I can also have that and say the customer can have an opportunity to view that particular contract. Excel core allows us to build in context for the contract. So we can say, dear so and so, see contract details. We can create a whole contract from here and put in all the details that we require for that particular contract. We can set up videos, we can set up images for the client to see on that contract. If there are any attachments, the client will be viewed. Comments will come here when the comment or the client is viewing the same. So once that contract is done, this allows us to view the contract. A whole contract will be appearing here for purposes of a review. We've not typed or pasted a whole contract. However, the whole contract will be here, and the client can be able to comment on that particular contract and can say probably the pricing was not right, or he is agreeable, or whichever matter, the client can connect and can add that comment. System allows the contract to be signed online, so the client can also just approve the contract and sign. So that's from a perspective of when we look at the projects. So when I go back to the projects, on my left, I have my projects module. From the project module, I can see the project we are looking at, that is development of core system. And now from this development of core system, we can see from here, there is the contract that we've just created under this client. The contract has not been signed, meaning once the contract signs, they put in their name, and they put in their details, and the system allows for a signature, and then you can say sign. That contract is now fully signed, can be downloaded, can be sent. The signature capture is capturing all the details. The contract value in a nutshell is there. And from our side, the contract will be fully signed. Will be signed internally, so you can see now the status of the contract has changed. So anything to do with these projects will be found here. Anything to do, any communication with the client, any discussions the client would want to raise, we will find the same here. The client has commented, the client talks about something that we want to do, we will always find the same here. Finally, as we progress, I'm almost finished now. We can, from here, we don't have to now go back to the sales module to create an invoice. iExcel core allows us from here to invoice the project. That means we can invoice from here. Remember, when we started the project, we said this is a fixed rate project. It is not a task per item. It's not all time sheet individually. It is only fixed items. So at this point also, we can see the task of completion was completed, meaning if we were billing as per task, we would have been picking all these tasks and bill. They are future tasks will not be included in the bills. If you were, say, task per item or time sheets billing, the system automatically gives us and tells us that all this expense will be included in the billing that we're going to do. So we have travel of 25,000, which is going to be part of the invoice. Remember, there was another 20,000 which incurred, which we are not being invoiced or billed for that. So once we have that, we can create an invoice while we are still at the iExcel core module. Remember, we say the system can bill the entire project because it was a fixed rate, but we can't change the amount that we want to bill. Say we are not billing all, or we are billing a deposit and just partially billing for that. While we are still in the project, because of the integration that we have with the various components, because of the various ways of integration between accounting, invoicing, sales, customer, we are able to fully raise our invoice. And once we do that, we can from here save and send that particular invoice. Again, coming to a nutshell, coming to an overview, we can see from an overview what we've done. We've already billed the expenses for 25,000 that we are supposed to bill. We have two tasks still open from an overview of that particular project. When we come to invoices on this project, we can see the invoices we've just raised and send it to the client. Its status still remain outstanding or unpaid. So basically, that's how we can maneuver on our projects, assign tasks to various staff. Now, when staff have been assigned this particular project, when staff have been assigned different tasks, when they log in to their dashboard, one, they get an email to show that they have been assigned a task. Number two, on the dashboard, all the tasks that these are related to a particular staff will appear here. On the projects that they are part of, they will see all the projects here and the status of that particular project. They will see the tasks that they only are able to see. So we can allow staff to view all the tasks, but at the same time, we can only give staff access to tasks that they have only been assigned. So they'll be able to see that. They can integrate that tasks again with a calendar, so the staff will be able to see the various tasks when they're supposed to be performed, different tasks like we can see from here on different projects which take different colors. So that shows when each and every item is supposed to be done, it will be fully shown from the dashboard. So that's how the staff will be able to see that particular project. And from that project, we can still go to the project from here on the dashboard. Again, it takes us to the overview plate of that project, and you're able to see the overview of the project. From here, we can pin the project, meaning once we pin the project, it will appear here as part of our menu item. So there's a project probably that is we open often. It can be pinned here by pinning the project. We can edit the project if any of the amount or timelines of the projects have changed. We can edit the project details from here. Now, iExcel Core allows us to copy the project. Perchance we have another client who wants a development of a core system, and we know all the requirements are the same. We know all the status are the same. iExcel Core allows us to copy this project and rename it to a particular person or a particular client. So we can copy everything from that, the milestone. We have tax status of all that have not been started. It's a development of iExcel system, and then we can pick a different client and say, and we pick this and say it is under Awesome Enterprise, and change the deadlines and put different deadlines for that and say copy project. This reduces time, especially if it is the same kind of products we are doing. It's the same kind of projects we are doing. It reduces the time. It allows us to quickly move in and start changing the timelines. So you can see now the project has moved to iExcel Awesome Enterprises, as opposed to the previous project which we are dealing with Mali. From that, back again to projects, and here when we've seen how to copy, we can mark the entire project as not started. So instead of, we can mark and say we have to notify all the members all the timers and then confirm that this project now has been marked as not started successfully. So we will show here there's a change of the status. From more here, we can mark it as hold. Maybe we're following up with clients, or if the client backed out last minute, this can be as cancelled, or we can mark as finish, or the data of the project can be exported out from the project. Again, final tab is we can view this project as a customer. When you go, this is how the customer views the project from the customer portal, where we've allowed the customer to view the project. And finally, we can delete the project if it's no longer in existence, or if we are not able to do it, or we are not doing it, we can delete the project. That, in a nutshell, is iExcel Core, and how we can manage projects and how we can manage tasks and ensure from here we are able to fully follow up all the projects that we have and see all the projects that are. iExcel Core gives us a view of the projects, and that's what we have as on our left menu here. We can see Project Kanban. Project Kanban allows us to see projects, all of them in a nutshell or in a brief on all the projects that are viewing. So every staff is able to see the projects they have been allocated to, where they are on those particular projects, and view from here. And from here, we can go into each and every of the particular projects. From a Kanban view, we can also move the projects within the various status. If this project has been now put on hold, we can successfully change that project and it goes to on hold. If now this project, we are now starting the project, we can move from the status of not started and place it to either started, and the system picks and the products and the status of this particular project changes from not started to in progress. And we can see the summary of that particular project. If for any reason the project has been cancelled, we can move accordingly and the status of that project will change to be cancelled. So in a nutshell, that is how iExcel Core assists in tracking and managing our projects from setup of the project to completion and to ensuring that the project has been fully built. And we can see a summary view of the project from the Kanban view, or from the projects window, we have all the projects here in a list format. We can, like I say, go to Kanban view and see all of them from a Kanban view, or we can switch to the list status. We can view from the list and able to, from here, edit or make any changes we have on this particular project. Unless there's any question, I would want to stop my presentation of iExcel Core. Remember, you can log into iexcelcore.com and have a 30-day trial and go through and see if this particular module will be able to assist your team. Anybody has a question? All right, I believe there's no question. Thank you very much for joining in. Log into iexcelcore.com and you have a 30-day free period to go through the whole system. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Have a lovely, lovely and wonderful night.